I don't think I have ever been more excited to put out a video other than this one, which is the ultimate RV upgrade. And the best part is I spent months and months doing research as we were selling our old RV and getting our new Alliance Valor, and I knew exactly which products I wanted to upgrade because of all that research. And so what I did is I actually spent that time reaching out to each of these brands, letting them know that I really wanted to put them in this video and feature them for a variety of reasons, but ultimately they agreed. And the best part of all this is one lucky person is literally going to win one of everything that is featured in this video. Yeah, one of everything. It's over $4,000 of stuff, and these brands were incredibly gracious to not only give us a unit to install and feature in this video, but then also give away a unit so that one person wins literally one of everything in this video that's featured. Now, one thing to remember when you watch this video is there are different products that are available on the market for each of the categories that we featured. Like I said, I did months of research and I found the best one. So I don't go through here and compare product A versus product B. I just literally did the research, went for the best of the best, and that's what's featured. Now, that is subjective. So some people might think other products are better. And that's the beauty, is everybody has difference of opinions. But for us and what we wanted on this RV, these were the products that we selected because of that. Definitely buckle up though, because this is a long video. It's over an hour, and you can fast forward to certain parts if you want to watch those, or if you want to watch the whole thing through. I'd be very grateful for that. It was a lot of work to put this together, but ultimately I've got chapter markers that are going to show each product so you can skip ahead, or just see what's coming up if you want to do it that way. And then don't forget, at the end, there's going to be instructions on how you can enter this giveaway to win one of every one of these products for yourself. Again, there's one winner that's going to be selected, and we're going to do this drawing on October 31st, 2022. So I wish you all the best of luck, and I appreciate your support, and thank you for watching this video. So before we leave the lot, our very first upgrade is going on thanks to our friends at SnapPad.
I feel like I'm really accentuating the dish soap.
Yeah, you're like, why do we have dish soap? Well, that's how you get them on. They're actually literally that easy. You get a little bit of soap. We've got the 9-inch rounds because we have the auto level on this, and there's the box of 6. So we're gonna put the back 4 on first, and then once we get this hitched up to the truck, we'll put those top ones down, or the front ones rather, and we'll get all these on before we even take this thing out of the lot. Okay, so here's the soap. Literally all you do is just lather it on there. Don't want to put too much because we're going to be driving with this. Sometimes you just do it right at your campsite, but we're going to throw it on here, just enough around the rim here. And then I'm going to need your help.
Me?
Yeah, without the camera.
Wow, that's fast. Okay. I think so. There we go. Nice.
And then you just want to come check it and make sure that it pushed down in all the rivets, which it did, which is great. And since this is auto level, you don't have to do all of them at the same time. You can actually just do them all one at a time. So I'm going to raise this back up. We're going to go to the other side and get that other. There's still 4 more to go, but I'm not going to bore you with all the footage for that because literally you just follow what we just did. But let's get these on and then we'll do a quick walk around once they're all on. Okay, we got the 4 SnapPads on. It was really that easy. It took all of literally 10 minutes. And then we'll do the fronts here once we get hitched up. And then we can put some pressure on those once they're lifted up. Okay, let's drop this one on. Just gotta make contact on the other side. There we go.
Nice.
Well, it looks like you're busy.
So busy.
And boys are sleeping, which is fun, but the time has come for one of our favorite upgrades, and the next upgrade, which is getting rid of these keys, which are not in focus. There we go. And all of these keys by installing RV locks. And we had this on our last RV, and they were amazing.
We actually had it on the last RV when we bought it.
Yeah.
So we have never used keys on an RV until now.
Yep, and we installed them on the baggage doors and everything else, but you'll see, so we have 2 doors in the toy hauler. So we've got 2 of those, and then the way that Alliance does the some of the compartments, we've got different locks here that are on the same key, so they won't be automatic. And then they are doing their baggage stores a little bit differently, which I'll show you. And we weren't able to do an RV lock for those, but that's okay. We're gonna go down to 2 keys and it'll be all right. But let's get started on this because it's a pretty simple install. I'm wearing a little bit more nice clothes than normal. I've got a polo. I had some meetings today, but I wanted to keep it on just to show you, like, I'm not gonna even break a sweat on this install, and all I'm gonna use is a screwdriver. And we're gonna go ahead and open the door here and get started by taking this off. Well, there we go.
I didn't know you were filming.
Timing.
Sorry.
That's okay. So here's the back side with that little back off. There were the 4 screws, took that off. And then now I loosened and took off one of the screws here. So we just need to pull off the strike plate. And then all we do is just kind of wiggle this thing out. Just like that. So what you're gonna get in here is literally everything that you need to install this. This is the centerpiece here, the star of the show. And then you've got your key fob, which they have wireless key fobs, which is really cool. And then you've got your jam replacement. So we'll take off the old one and then put the new ones on here. Okay, so I'm seriously trying not to sweat. It is like 95 degrees and we're down in Alabama near the coast, so it's super humid. I'm still not sweating. I'm not even glistening, but I don't know, maybe you guys think differently. But all we have to do now is just make sure that this fits in. It's going to be kind of a tight fit, so you have to make sure you're moving it around and wiggling a little bit. But basically you just angle it in, make sure that you've got contact here, and then you just have to get the right angle, which might take a minute. That's okay. And make sure your little connector piece is on the inside, and that's it from the outside. So now we'll flip to the inside and screw the screws in, put the little strike plate on, and then we'll replace the strike plate here so that it's got a perfect closing angle.
Mavi, are you helping your dad? You're such a good helper.
Okay, so all we have to do is just connect this. It's kind of a two-handed job because it's a little awkward just with what you have to screw in, but you just connect your things. You just heard it beep there, which means that we're working. And you just kind of tuck that back in there. And then just hold it firmly, and then we'll screw this screw in. Okay, so the first screw is on, and we just have the 3 more that we need to put in there. Just make sure everything's lined up. They go in super easily. I would say don't use a drill on this either, because you can definitely over torque these, and it is very, very easy to make sure these are tight. And in here. And then you can just do a quick test run to make sure your deadbolt is locking and then that your handle's working. Okay, last 2 things, we're gonna put this on the door and then just replace the one that this came with, which you can see they're pretty much the same. There's not a lot of difference here. It actually goes this way, but we're just gonna install the one that this came with just because it fits a little bit better. It's really hard to tell, but there's just a little bit less of a catch area right here, which means the door will shut a little bit easier. Okay, that's it. That's all you gotta do.
It's beautiful.
So cool. So the last thing though, so that's fully installed. We've got the 2 strike plates, we've got everything connected here. We just need to set our code. So we're gonna do the reset on this, which I'll show you how to do, and then we're ready to roll.
Hey Conlon, I hate to tell you, but you are definitely glistening.
I mean, hey, here's the thing. Like I said, it's really hot down here, so even just standing outside doing nothing, you're gonna sweat. Yes. But I mean, it's barely anything. Oh
so my gosh, you sound like such a diva.
You know? I know. Well, the last thing here, and then we can go inside our nice 3 air-conditioned Valor. Is we just have to reset it. So all it tells us to do is hold down the 8 and the lock simultaneously. It's going to give us a long beep. We're going to enter in the default code, and then we're going to set our own code. So make sure that these guys don't see our code once we get to that point. Okay, should be it. So
now our next upgrade, which I'm really excited to introduce you to, is in our bedroom, and I bet you can guess It's a big part of the bedroom, and it's our mattress. So we got a little bit of an upgrade when we got this rig, and we got what we consider a weird RV size king, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you are a full-timer, or even if you're more of a part-timer, anything more than a weekend warrior, you know upgrading the RV mattress is a non-negotiable. We have actually been sleeping on this mattress since we got our RV, and it has not been terrible, but you can definitely tell that our backs have been hurting. So this is a Serta mattress, and I'm not sure of all the different mattresses that RV manufacturers use, but something that we have learned that I thought has been really interesting, people ask this all the time, they're like, why don't RV manufacturers put better mattresses in RVs? I thought that for a long time, and it was something that made me so frustrated because I just hated having to upgrade that. We couldn't even sleep in it until we upgraded the mattress. And here's why. Everybody has different preferences, and depending on how you sleep, which I have recently learned, depends on how firm the mattress needs to be for you. So if you're a side sleeper versus a back sleeper versus a tummy sleeper, you need a little something different. So it is really important that you find out what you and your family's sleep cycle looks like, because that determines your mattress.
And we had a really unique size mattress. I don't know if you can see this here, but it is actually there. 68 inches by 80 inches, and it's 6 inches thick. And it's just, that is a really weird size. If you go do some research, you will see that's like not even a mattress size, because an Olympic queen, which I had not known about, is 66 inches, and this is 68. But the good news for us is I pushed this all the way over to the edge on the left-hand side, so you can see we have a good solid, I'd say 3 or 4 inches there. So we actually used the handy dandy size guide on rvmattress.com and ended up getting a 70 inch from Brooklyn Bedding, which you're going to see here in a second. Okay, enough about this old mattress. Let's go get the new one, which is super cool, and it's shipped directly to us at the campground that we're at, which was amazing. So let's go bring that inside and start unboxing it.
Hey boys.
So let's tear into this thing. Let's see what we got here.
Nash and Maverick are actually here to help.
They're helping with their paws as best as they can. Actually,
a lot of nothing.
I think they're holding down the floor. Hey. Hey. Hi.
What are you doing?
Okay, let's see what we got here.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
I just think that this is so cool that beds can come in boxes now. Like, how awesome that you can do this with manufacturing. And Brooklyn Bedding actually has an incredible video, not to be like so silly, but you need to go watch the video on how they like make these mattresses. They do such a phenomenal job. Look at how cool. Isn't this wild?
It's pretty cool. I think
feel
the
how
best...
like, is it crazy to know that it's gonna like fluff up? This is not our first, I say inflatable like it's like a pool. This is not our first
mattress in a box.
Mattress in a box. We have done this like a dozen times, but we have heard raving reviews about Brooklyn Bedding.
Well, I think the best way to get this out is probably just going to be to flip over the box onto the floor so we can pull this out. Okay. Because it is pretty heavy, so I don't think lifting it out is going to be feasible given our small space that we have.
I'm so excited. We have needed a new bed, new mattress.
Okay, the next part is the fun part. And we've got to undo, there's like a layer of, almost saran wrap, and then there's a thicker plastic layer. I've got my knife. We just have to be really careful when we're cutting it. Okay, let's move that.
Okay.
We'll move this in quick. Okay, so that's the vacuum seal part. Oh, you can hear it.
Oh my gosh, we gotta hurry. Maggie, hi.
Okay, that's the bottom, so we need to flip it. Pull it over here. Watch out, Maverick. Watch out, buddy. And then lift it up. Pull that over. Okay.
Woo!
So I think when we were undoing that part, there's a little hole that got punctured in the plastic part from when we were doing it, which you can hear it.
Wow, this feels so nice.
like honeycomb.
Oh my gosh, no offense to the mattress that came with this RV.
Night and day difference.
Oh my gosh, I have been waking up with a stiff back, but I just sucked it up. Wow. This is like incredible. I'm gonna get off of it so I don't like ruin the inflating process. It's like so soft. It's like cooling touch, which I think we got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
It's got the cool gel.
Except it's so funny because Maverick knows he can jump up on our last one, and this one is like more than double the height. He's not gonna clear this. He's gonna need help.
Well, I like how it's starting with this amazing American flag on the box. But this is the Dream Foam Essential, is what this one's called. And you can see it came packaged just like the other one. So let's tip this over so we can flip it. There we go. My handy dandy assistant.
You just want me to take it out?
Just dump it.
Okay.
Flip it upside down. There we go. Okay. That's all there is to the unboxing.
I do love the box.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Definitely a lot lighter than the other mattress though, because it took both of us to lift this up.
And I lifted this one by myself.
Yeah, and we figured out after getting the other one in, mainly that's due to the coils. So the one that we have is a hybrid mattress up in the bedroom, which has coils and then the memory foam. And then this is just straight memory foam. And it's much less thick too, so that definitely adds to the weight. So this is the mattress that it comes with, which you can see how thin it is. I mean,
I think Nash's dog bed is thicker than this.
So seriously though, to be honest, Nash's dog bed, which is actually memory foam, is tremendously more comfortable than this. But just to say it again and to be a little bit redundant,
yes,
the RV manufacturers aren't really to blame here because everybody has a different personality and style trait and comfort level of which mattress they use and why. And so it would really just be a waste because I don't know the exact percentage, but I would say 70 to 80% of people would probably switch out the mattress anyways.
I joked that this could be the new dog bed. Sean was not for that.
It's pretty big. And then flip it up. Next up on the list is one of our favorite things, which is this 3-stage Clearsource filtration system. So you've got 3 different filters built into this, and each of them helps with your overall water quality. And this particular one is the Onboard Pro, which means that this can actually mount up here where I'm going to put it, and you actually lose a significant amount of weight because it's not the big, black, bulky one that sits outside, which is still great, but because this isn't going to need to be moved around or we're going to leave it outside, and since it's going to be mounted up in here, we chose to do the Onboard Pro. And each of these filters does screw off. It's really easy to get them off of there. They just simply twist, and then they actually give you a tool that will lock around these little edges to help you really tighten it in there so it's watertight once you install it. Now getting this hooked up is actually pretty easy. So I've taken the blue filters off and I'm going to mount it right about here, which will give me enough room up top, and then ultimately it'll have enough room below here to where I can unscrew the filters when I need to change them out. And before we get this up and mounted, I did want to point out this is actually the PEX version. So what I'm going to do is I'll be running PEX Blue, PEX B pipe that I picked up at the Home Depot, and it's going to connect into our system, our overall water system in the Valor. And then also I'm going to do the same thing when I connect the garden hose in, which will make more sense once I show it to you. But this is really cool because it is a permanent installation and you don't have to take off the garden hose every time that you hook this up. Let's go ahead and mount this. So you can see, I mean, it is kind of heavy, not too bad, but I can handle it with one arm here. If you just kind of hold it up. And then I've got my drill back behind me here. And I'm using these little washers just to make sure that I've got a good contact point here. And these are just wood screws. They're actually 3/4 inch wood screws. And I've got a level, so I'm just going to throw that up top here. Make sure that we're level. Zip this next one in. Make sure that you do it close to the top so that this doesn't move. Okay, just to show you, there's level. All I did was put in these 2 bottom screws for now, and there's 6 screw points. So I'm going to actually screw all 6 of those in so that we've got a nice, secure, stable platform here. And then you can see where we're going to put the PEX plumbing coming off here. I left enough room so I can do a 90-degree bump, and then I'm either going to run it down along here, or I'm going to run it up top. And I haven't figured that out yet, so we're going to work together along the way, get that figured out, and finish this install. Before we get too far down the road, let's look at the tools that we're using for this. So right here we have our crimping tool, and I'll show you exactly what this is going to do here in a second. We've got our cutting tool, which will cut the PEX pipe. We've got some clamp rings, which is what that clamp ring tool uses. We've got some 90-degree elbows, and then just a couple adapters to be able to connect that to a garden hose coming in. And then a whole pack of these mounts where I can mount these up to the upper deck or along the sidewall here if we end up coming down. But these are really the only tools that you need. There are some additional, more easy to use PEX fittings called Shark Bite. And those are just really expensive. So if you know what you're doing and you can use the simple crimp tool to make sure all your connections are tight, really you just need these clamps, the elbows here, and then the correct tools. And so for cost standpoint, this was roughly $62 at the Home Depot. Your cutters can run anywhere from $15 to 20 bucks. And then each of these were different prices, but substantially less than what the Shark Bite fittings are. I would say from just an overall standpoint, about a quarter of the cost of what those are. And then last but not least, here is your blue PEX pipe. So this is just the same stuff that's running through the RV. It's a little flexible, not so much. When you get long runs of it, it is, but on little short runs, it's very hard, it's very stiff, which is exactly what we're looking for in this installation. Okay, you can see I still have not finished the mounts here with the additional screws, which I'm going to do. But first I wanted to show you guys how this works. So I just cut off this little piece of PEX here, and essentially, and I don't have a super straight cut there on the end, so I'll clean that up. But for demonstration purposes, because once I get into it, I'm just going to do kind of like a time lapse. Otherwise you guys will be super bored. So that just slides in over these fittings, and then you have this clamp ring that you put on there, and you slide that to your end point of where that's going to be clamped, and then you'll put the tool directly over that and clamp it down. So it sounds a little bit more intimidating than what it really is, but ultimately this will ensure a wider watertight connection, and then with those elbows you can really angle this whichever direction that you want. I went ahead and crimped the first one on here, and probably the best thing for you to do is honestly just put together a quick run of what you anticipate this to be and cut it down, get your elbows on, and then dry fit it so that you can get it on to the exact location that you're looking for. And this one will make sense once I get finished here. So you can see this is where the hose is actually going to hook up, and I'm going to bring it down in here and keep it in the wet bay so that if there's a leak on the quick connect on the hose, at least it's staying down here in the wet bay and not getting up on the upper deck. And that is a wrap. We have this install completed. I'm going to walk you through it because I didn't do a step-by-step, mainly because I was working and the time lapse wasn't working out very well. But ultimately this isn't really a how-to video, it's just more so an upgrade video on what you need to be thinking about and why you would do an upgrade like this. So what I ended up doing was I ran all of my hard PEX here. As you can see, our water hose is coming in right here, and then it's connected with a quick connect, which then runs into the water filter. And so this again is all PEX. I just did a lot of 90-degree elbows here and then connected everything to the wall with just a couple of brackets there to make sure that this isn't moving around. And then when you go back here, you can see that it is connected to a water softener, which is not part of the install, but it's something that we have had on board for about 2 years that I do highly recommend. But there is a shut-off valve right here so that you can quickly shut this off when you're doing the regeneration on the water softener. And then I opted to do the flex tubing, so it's not the hard PEX, but it is the braided material so that it can run over here, but ultimately I can take those off and disconnect them when I need to regenerate the water softener. And so then the PEX picks up back over here There's another switch right there, and then it flows all the way through. You can see the piping here. And then what's really cool is there's an existing hole right here for where the lever pulls for the tanks would have been, but ours are installed outside. So I ended up just using one of those existing holes. I ran this out and then connected it directly to the water source. So everything is flowing directly through here. And I've already tested it. I went ahead and did a flush on the filter. So you want to run that for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes just to run through the filters and make sure that those are good. But ultimately this upgrade is complete and we're really happy with the results. It looks great. The onboard system is just fantastic, and I love having the PEX there instead of the garden hoses. One of the things that we worry the most about as dog owners and RVers is the boys being safe as we travel. And part of that is being able to not only read the temperatures inside of your RV, but actually do something about it. And so we had spent probably about 6 months trying to figure out why there was no Nest thermostat for RVs. And it comes down to a voltage issue of a house versus an RV. But nonetheless, we did finally find a product called the Microair Wi-Fi enabled thermostat. And we ended up buying it. And literally from the moment that we installed it, it was a complete game changer for us in the way that we traveled. So what I'm going to say is that having this RV, our new Alliance, for a few weeks now and not having this installed, it is night and day difference. And I feel like when you actually don't have something is when you see and know how valuable it actually is to you. And we do actually have two products that we're going to be installing from Microair, and the first is the thermostat, and then the second, which I'm really excited for, we did not have these on our last RV, and when I was talking to the Microair folks, they had asked if I had ever heard of it, and I had, but we just didn't have one installed. And these are the Softstarts. So when we were on a 30 amp circuit a few times as we traveled, we noticed that we could really only run one air conditioner, and so this is going to solve that problem, which we'll get to that. But for now, this box is very small and everything is in here, which is great. It just shows you how easy this is to install. So you've got the main unit here, which you'll see how beautiful this turns on once we get it plugged in here. So let's just take this over here and see exactly where it's going to go. So we're going to be replacing this, which is just the standard thermostat that it came with. There are a few options with the back of this, and their website is really easy to figure out exactly which one you have. But basically, this is literally the only tool that we need. It's just one of these small screwdrivers. And so what I'm going to do is take a quick picture of the layout here. And that's so I know exactly where these wires are going once they come back here. So we've got our red, our blue, our brown, which is gray in some cases, green, yellow, and then we have this white one. And it's nice because these are both labeled the same way with what's in here. So you really just match them up. And you can do these one at a time, or you can take them all off at the same time. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and pull them all off. So we have all the wires off, so we're just basically going to jam these in. It's really nice because you can just slide them in and you don't need to use the screwdriver for this part. Okay, let me pull this off. We can see that we've got power going to the unit. And I'm going to turn it on, just give it a quick test here. There's multiple ways that you can attach this. It actually comes with this really nifty guide where it has a little bar in the middle that ends up ripping off to get the holes exactly where they need to be able to mount it here. But I'm not a huge fan of putting holes in the wall. So the last one we did, we used a command strip, and basically what I'm going to do, because you can see that's a little bit too long on each side, and really because this thing literally weighs nothing, I don't need two full ones. So I'm actually just going to cut these right down the middle, which will be one on each side. And then I know technically you need those tabs, so I'm going to cut rather. So I just cut a little bit off of the end there So these will go on both sides. That's all there is to this install. The Microair comes with a really cool app that you just download on your phone. And what we're gonna do first is actually get set up via Bluetooth here to get this device on here. And once you get the name added, you just hit OK. And it's successfully added. So now I'm gonna go in here and turn this on, which I do not have the breaker back on yet, so the air is not going to kick on. And now that we pulled this up on the phone, you can see that everything matches what's on the screen because it's hooked in via Bluetooth. But I'm gonna go in and actually add our Wi-Fi network right here. And then you can see the Wi-Fi icon, and here in a second it will go green once it finds that network and logs on. And there we go, now it's green. So now we have Wi-Fi. And here in a second, you'll actually see the outside temperature. There it is, it just came on. So it's pulling in information from the internet where you're at, where you're located, and it's got the outside temperature as well. And there's some other settings that you can do. There's other great videos out here on YouTube if you want to see exactly what you can do with this particular unit. But overall, it's a super simple install that literally took all of 5 minutes, with the longest part being getting it level and putting the command strips on here to mount it. But we highly recommend this one. Now let's go install these soft starts on the air conditioner so that we can run these on lower amp circuits like a 30 amp. We have a nice brisk morning in the North Georgia mountains, and I'm really excited about this product. I've actually never had these on an air conditioner on an RV that we've had before. So this is the first time. I've watched extensive videos, and in fact, I'm actually gonna link one that did an amazing job explaining how to install this. So I'll put that down in the description, and then I'll add it here in the top right corner that you can click on to go see it. But ultimately, it seems pretty straightforward. There's a few wires that you have to cut and splice, so it sounds a little intimidating, but from watching those videos, it seems pretty easy, definitely doable. Before we get up on the roof and get this install started, first things first, we need to cut the power to the RV, which ours is right here. We happen to use this Power Watchdog from Hughes for our surge protector, but we're gonna go ahead and just turn off the breaker here, and then I'm actually just gonna pull this and completely disconnect it, just so I know for sure that that's not working. Like I shared, I'm not gonna do a full detailed install, but here are the tools that you need. It's pretty easy. You can just see we've got a little drill, we've got some wire strippers, some crimpers, some rubbing alcohol, a pair of pliers, some scissors, and adhesive tape. So this is the area where we're going to be doing the install. Is going to get mounted right along this surface, and we're going to use that double-sided adhesive tape, the Gorilla Tape, to do that. And then we're going to be running some wires into here. And again, it sounds a little more intimidating than what it is. We really just cut a handful of wires in here, splice them into the unit, turn it on, test it, and then you're good to go. One thing to point out here before we get started is actually how amazing Alliance is, and just a quick shout out to them. They did not have to include this putty, and this putty is just really holding these wires together a little bit so that they don't jostle around when the unit's in motion. So pretty cool. One of those things that you didn't really have to do, but they chose to do. So a fun fact here is that you can actually twist this capacitor a little bit. Just be really careful. You don't want to hurt these connections, but I had to do that to shimmy this in because our black sleeve over this capacitor is pretty tight. So that's all there is to it right here with the wiring. It's kind of funny because the most time consuming was actually getting these easy quick connect plugins plugged in because of this little black sleeve. It's just a little bit kind of beefy. You can see I've busted up my knuckles a little bit, so just be mindful this metal is kind of sharp. Ultimately that's probably what did it, but you know how it goes. The last step here is to get this mounted onto the side. So I've already done the alcohol, so I'm just going to use this Gorilla Tape. This is the extra strength Gorilla Tape, which I believe holds a total of 30 pounds. And obviously this does not weigh anywhere close to 30 pounds, so we should be good. And be careful as you're taking this clear tape off that is protecting the other adhesive side, because once it's off, whatever this thing sticks to, it sticks to. So you just want to be careful. And then once it's where you want it, you just push down on this. And then just make sure you apply some good pressure here. Again, just kind of watch your hands so you don't bust your knuckles up. And that's all there is to it. I'm gonna get this cover back on really quick, and then we're gonna go inside and I'm gonna show you the quick steps that you have to do for this thing to learn each of your air conditioners. Okay, the last little step here is we need to cycle through this 5 different times. So what we're gonna do, and what that means, is we are going to turn on the air conditioner, and it's going to take a second here to actually kick on, and we're going to wait for the air compressor to turn on so that we can let that run for about 30 seconds, and then that will be cycle 1, and then we're going to do that 4 more times for a total of 5, and we're going to need to wait 5 minutes in between each of those cycles. Next up is a very fun topic that all of us love, and that is the sewer hose. So we ended up just grabbing this thing pretty quick from Walmart just so we could dump tanks, because we didn't have our new one, which we'll get into here in a second. But we can officially say we've had a before and after on this. So with our last RV, we used this style setup for about 6 months. And then after 6 months, we had actually upgraded to the Wastemaster. And so we do have before and after experience on this, and can absolutely unequivocally say that this is an incredible sewer hose. Granted, it is definitely more expensive than your typical setup from Walmart or Camping World or wherever you get your Rhino sewer hoses, or other brands, Camco. But this is absolutely worth the money, and I'm going to show you why. Well, it's a little tight under here, but hey, here's the good news. I'm in the shade, and it's a pretty hot day today. High is 90. So I'm definitely sweating a little bit, hence the flip-flops and shorts as well. But I wanted to show you, these are all the parts here. So this is a really cool system. This is a cam lock, which is very similar to like what semi-trucks use when they're filling up the fuel at gas stations and stuff. This is the locking system that those hoses use. And that's because they're able to push in, and you can tighten them down so they have a very, very good seal on there. And it's just really secure, so they're not coming off. I mean, it's even a little difficult to open, which is a really good thing when you're talking sewer connections that you want to have. So this piece here is actually going to go directly on top of our Valterra twist valve here. What we're going to do here is we're going to take this fitting off, and this is actually a flat surface, so it's not a twist on. And we're going to basically take just a little pocket saw that I have, and we're just going to cut off these little nubs, and then I've got some adhesive that's going to go in here, and then we're going to apply that to the outside of this. So once that's attached there, this will go in here just like that, and then you just clamp these down, and that connection is airtight. And then on the other end, that plugs in directly into your outlet area for where the dump tank is at your campsite, or if you're using a dump station, that's where it goes as well. And then the one thing that's kind of nice that we noticed after using this last year was that there's actually this red cap which plugs directly into here, and that gets, I mean, you can really jam it in there and nothing comes out. So between that and then the way this locks at the end of it with the twist valve, you can rest assured that anything that is in here that you don't get out is not going to leak out. So whether you're putting this in a bin or you've got some sort of storage solution, everything that's in there is going to stay in there as you travel. We're just going to take this saw and just saw these off. So you can see how quick that goes. It's not that big of a deal at all. Sounds more intimidating than what it really is. So just doing a quick dry fit. You can actually see this goes on there pretty tight. So once we really jam it back there, I have a little rubber mallet just in case we really want to push it back in there. This is nice and dry, so we are ready to put this on here. And one thing I wanted to point out too that's really cool, since this is on the twist valve, if you ever had a need to use the knobs and the notches because you decide to keep this hose for whatever reason, which we are actually going to, we have one of those little underneath storage things that we're going to put it in. You can still use that. So this twist valve can come off. You just won't have the shut off valve feature, but you can still use both of those, which is why I'm choosing to do this. Some people actually mount this directly to this pipe right here, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. We just particularly like having these easy to use valves. So let's go ahead and swab this down on the inside here. I'm going to do a little bit inside of here and then a little bit on here, and you can be pretty liberal with how much you apply here. I don't think there's, I mean, you don't want it to be dripping out, but definitely the more the merrier. And make sure you're doing the right end too. I just had to double check that I was on the right end of this. Give this a little knock here. And I'm just gonna leave that in there while this dries, just so it's not hanging and pulling. This is nice and dry after sitting for a couple hours. I'm still not gonna run any liquid through it overnight, just because A, I don't need to, and B, it'll just give it some more time to cure. But if you're in a pinch, it'd be okay probably to run it, but I'm just not going to. So all you have to do is literally take this end of the hose, plug it right there, close your clamps, and you are off and running on that end. And then we've got to go out here, and we are just going to take this end here and install it to the end and just use our little hose ramp system, whatever you want to call it, to put the green hose in. One fun fact before we do that though is I wanted to mention, and this is because we had used this thing for about a year and I learned this just by application. So if you think about it, when this is closed, there's nothing coming out of there, including air. So if your valve is also closed, you're obviously having no air that's going to be able to pull through there. So i.e. your sewer hose is not going to extend, and it just stays just like that. Like, even that's hard to do. So just simply open this up, and you could actually even hear some air going through there, and then that'll give you enough length that you can pull it. And I just want to get that lined up, and that's exactly where we're going to put it. So then I'll get all this on the nice little contraption, stick this back here, and really that's all we have to do. And then I'm just going to get that hooked up. I don't have gloves on, so I need to go get those so I can put this end in. And you all know what that looks like, so I don't need to show you doing that. I'll show you the finished product here. But one thing I wanted to mention that's really, really key about this product, and one of the reasons we really loved it, is you can see this membrane here is actually smooth on the inside. So while it's ribbed on the outside and allows it to extend, on the inside it's perfectly smooth. i.e., in other words, there's no debris that's going to get clogged up in there, and it's a nice smooth surface for everything to travel down. Not to mention, the hose thickness is fantastic. So while nothing is truly puncture resistant, this one is, or puncture proof I should say, this one is really reluctant to get punctured. And we've been in some sticky situations where it may have if it was a different style hose, but this one is just super tough. And overall, it looks really cool. It's very functional. You've got this beautiful 90-degree elbow that works really, really well. And you've got the donut at the end so that it can fit all kinds of different connections instead of just the screw tops. We're actually going to do our little door makeover here, and you're going to see how quick it is to make some drastic improvements to the door. And it's going to start with the thin shade, and the thin shade is just absolutely fantastic, and you'll see when we get it installed. We had it on our last RV as well, but it allows you to black out that screen, but also not put some sort of like film or anything over the top of it, so that it's got a little curtain that goes up and down so that you can still see out during the day. And we also like the daylight showing through there, so that was really helpful. And then of course, for Nash and Maverick, we've got the screen defender, and this is really cool. It just helps preserve the life of your screen, because they like to nose into that a little bit when it's open, and you know, dogs are dogs, so it's just a good added layer of protection. And it's also really good with kids too, just small kids particularly, poking their fingers and getting into the screen. And then we've got the screen shot as well, and that helps keep the screen door shut. And it's been interesting because we had that on our screen for so long. It was just so expected that the door would shut behind you. And when we got into this one, it doesn't have it, and the screen door just kind of stays open. So it's been a long couple weeks where we haven't had that, so I'm really excited to get that on. And then this new one, we actually did not have a Lippert door on the last RV, so we weren't able to use this. Or I guess I should say we could have, we just had to make some additional modifications, and we just didn't really have time to based on when we were selling the RV. But this is a screen assist, and this is pretty cool because what this does is helps you as you're opening the screen door coming out. You can like bump it with your elbow, or just more easily open it so that if you have your hands full of stuff, it's just easier to get out of. The screen defender and the screen shot fit together really nicely. So in your screen defender package, you're gonna get these little like spacer kind of deals. And these are really important, and you get 2 different styles just depending on which one fits your setup the best. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it in here. I already set this one in here, and you kind of just get a dry fit for where this is gonna sit. And what ends up happening is you have this little gap up here because this actually fits right here. And you can see it fills the space very nicely. Everything is just nice and proportional. Let's go ahead and get the screen defender on first, and then we'll put the screen shot on above that. So we're just gonna start by kind of sliding this off angle a little bit. And you're gonna notice 2 different rails inside of here. You're gonna wanna use the back one for this. And then this will just kind of push down in here. You have to give it a good push because it's designed to sit in there nice and snug. And then these are pretty sweet, so you just pull them in, and then those clip in right there in the back. So literally that is the install for the screen defender. It takes all of, I mean, I'm probably at 2 minutes between wedging this in here and then installing it like you just saw. Okay, well, it looks like I have 2 helpers now at this point. Little Maverick, hi. What are you doing? You gonna help me? Huh? Hi, say hi to everybody.
You're so cute.
Okay, well, we have a pup and a wife helping out. So like I was saying, this just fits in there nice and tight. Christina's over on the end just holding it nice and snug so that I can pull it like this, and it's gonna screw in right here. You really just need to give it as much tension as you can. And I've already got my screw ready to go on the drill here. So I am just gonna zip it in. Okay, so there's the screen defender back in. I didn't record it because you saw me before. It took all of about 30 seconds to put in. And you can see how the screenshot just sits really nicely up there. And so now, when I undo the screen, I'm literally gonna do that and just watch it. And
Magic.
That is perfect. We gotta get the thin shade done for everybody. Okay, this one is pretty easy. It sounds a little more intimidating than what it is. So the downside is we kind of have to have the door separated from the screen door, so I'm gonna have to go out on the steps. But I wanted to show you this first before I go out there. And basically we're just using these little clips that go in here along the side to pop this window out, which will make sense here once I get them in there. I'll show you. And then that basically disconnects the front and the back, because this is not a screw in one, it's this pop-out system. And then from there, we literally just install the other one. So again, these aren't how-to videos. There's plenty of really good content out there. I just want to kind of point out some of the key things and show you how easy it is to install this stuff. And that's all there is to it. So now you just pull this guy down, just like that. And you've got darkness at night. And then you can lift it up during the day. And you can see through it. Okay, so look. He never pushed into the screen, so we never had to worry about that, but I thought we might get first use out of the screen defender there. But the screen assist, I'm really excited to put on. But basically what this is gonna do is sit right here, and it'll make more sense once I can zoom out once it's installed. But I've already removed the little handle right there to put the new one in. And then what happens is when you push this down just ever so much, it actually opens the screen door. So it's kind of a hands-free kind of deal. You could use your elbow. I think you can use your butt technically, but it helps you open the screen door a little bit easier. Okay, I got the little handle on, and it's smaller just so it can fit, and it's designed to push down just like that. And basically what I'm gonna do now is get all this lined up this bar moves back and forth, so you're basically trying to find your center line to make sure you've got equal distribution of the bar. And then I'm going to put 2 screws in at the end over here once that's lined up. And that's really all there is to the install. The hardest part is just making sure that my center line is lined up, and then on the back there are a couple screw holes, so you screw that in so that these don't move. This is pretty cool. So it's on, and check this out, a little one-handed action. I'm just going to push down on the bar, boom, it's open. So if you're using it to bump it while you're coming out, you got stuff in your hands, you just literally bump it with your side and it opens. So it's pretty perfect actually. And then you notice there with the screenshot, boom, door closes, nice soft close. Maverick, what do you think about that, buddy? Huh? What do you think about that, sir? Well, I think I found my model for the next one. Aww. Even though you don't know it.
What am I doing?
Well, we need to show everybody an upgrade that's often overlooked, which is chairs. Chairs? And clearly you're enjoying it. So this one's a little different because there aren't many rocking chairs on the market, and
Lippert,
there's some good ones that we've tried. I forget the brand name. You can get them at like Dick's Sporting Goods or Walmart, and they've got those gas shocks on them. But the downside that we found with those, and why we don't have those yet, is that they're kind of like a cloth material and they don't have mesh on them, so they get really hot when it's warm. And that's what's really nice. We've had plenty of Lippert chairs ourselves. Some of our favorites are the Solera chairs, but those are discontinued because they've actually improved them and have turned them into what we're seeing here. So this is the rocking chair version, and clearly it looks like it's pretty cool.
It's very comfy.
But what's like one of the features that we've noticed right when we pulled it out?
The bungees.
Yeah, the bungees.
I just like how wide it is, because to me, I love when I sit down and I can like cross my legs and try to make the boys sit in here with me, and I feel like I have plenty of space. Like if I want a blanket when it's cold out, that's my favorite part.
All right, well, let's move you over to the other one.
Oh, would you like me to model it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Since you're out here, I'm going to use you.
Make sure you get my Crocs. Okay. So this one is, hang on, let me tell you. Oh, Stargazer Plus Zero Gravity. I like this one because it has a little table.
Oh yeah, that table is pretty cool.
It sounds so silly, but with our new patios, we don't have space for a really big table, but I still need a spot to set my drink. So I'm a big fan of that. But I have to unlock this. How do I do that? Oh, I didn't have to unlock it. This is like the perfect nap chair. This is all the way back. It's got a headrest pillow.
I mean, it's pretty sweet too, because our site's not on the water, but we can see the water.
And I like that this material, I know you mentioned it, but it's breathable.
Yeah, it's got the mesh. And then this one also has the bungees on it too.
And can't you adjust this? Like if you get here and you're like, I want it to lock right here, won't it lock?
Yeah, you just hold these things in. Right here, push that down. Oh. Now it's locked. But you have to do the other one too.
Okay, yep, see, now it would be locked. That's really nice. So if you fall asleep, you're not going to jolt yourself awake. You
can lock the position. And then the last thing about the headrest, that's pretty cool too.
The headrest, yes, I love the headrest.
Well, it's adjustable.
Oh, it is adjustable.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. So if you're short stuff like me, you're okay. It's not hitting you in an awkward spot, or if you have your hair in a ponytail, it's not hitting you in an awkward spot.
Before we get ready to leave the campsite that we're at and head to our next spot, we are absolutely going to put on the Tire Linc system. We've had 2 drives on this new Valor where we have not had this installed yet, and to say it was nerve-wracking was to say it's an understatement. And it's not that I'm expecting a blowout or anything, it's just you literally don't expect that kind of stuff. And we didn't do a video for this because it happened so fast, but Christina did do a little Instagram story a few months back when we were in Myrtle Beach, and I had noticed our Tire Linc gave us a notification that our tire pressure was down to like 50-some%, and we were able to pull over and fortunately avoid a blowout because it had alerted us to what was going on. Getting into the specifics here, the system is actually really simple. You've got these little tire nozzles that go on the tires, and this is what's actively monitoring that tire pressure. And then you've got this system which gets installed as close to the front of the RV as you can get so that it can relay that information to your phone. and there's a Bluetooth app that you can use for this, and it makes it really easy. And I'll show you the setup in the truck for that. But all we have to do is this little part pops off, and some manufacturers even are including this prepped ready, and then you just have to pop this on and you're good to go. Alliance wasn't one of those, or at least with our unit we didn't have that, so we're gonna have to install this whole unit here, which is not a big deal. It's really just a quick 12 volt setup, and I'm just gonna connect these wires in our little area up front, which I'll show you. But then once that's done, we just sync the tire pressure sensors, and I did get an extra pack because now we do have 6 tires to monitor instead of the 4. And then we also picked up this alert indicator. We did not have this the last time, but I'm excited to try it because it's supposed to just give you a very quick read without even having the app up to see what's going on. Okay, everything is installed. I've got the power wire going, I've got the ground over here, and then I'm just gonna slap this module up in here, and you can see the status light is blinking there, which means that it is powered. And now what I'm going to do is start to put it in pair mode and start pairing the actual sensors. So it's telling me that I have to have the sensors ready and not screwed in. So I am going to screw in this sensor on the tire stem here, and it's going to recognize that that tire is on that sensor. Okay, so that one got recognized. We can see that it's running at 105 psi. So I'm just going to move over here to the next one and keep going along. Okay, there you have it. So there's all 6 tires loaded up. Like you can see, it was super easy to do. Just twist those caps on. We just got set up at our next campsite at Tolona Ridge in North Georgia, which is a beautiful location. This is a perfect opportunity to get the next upgrade on, which are the Solera shades. And if you haven't seen these, they attach to the awning and provide you some additional shade coverage. And that shade coverage is really great because your whole side is shaded, but you can still see through it, and it does actually help knock down the wind a little bit as well. And then one additional benefit is that it helps when you attach it to the ground, it actually stabilizes your awning a little bit as well. So we've got 2 here because we have the 2 awnings, and we're gonna get these put on. When you open up the box, you'll see there's a really nice carrying case that comes with this. And once you take that out, everything is contained in here. And you'll see how easy this is to install. But the cool thing is there are multiple widths and multiple heights as well. So when you hop on the website or go to your retailer that has these, just make sure you measure your actual awning fabric, not necessarily the awning itself, but the awning fabric, so that you get the right size. We're gonna start with our rear awning first, which is a 19-foot awning. And again, that is the awning assembly itself, not necessarily the fabric. So I went ahead and ordered a 17-foot Solera shade, because if I would have got the 19 feet one, it is going to be too wide because it would go all the way to the assembly, and you can see there at the end there's a gap between that end of the assembly and where the fabric starts. So the 17-foot one should fit almost perfect. It is pretty nice because we have this side patio, so I'm able to get a lot higher off the ground, whereas if I don't have this, which is going to be the case in the front, I'm going to have to use a ladder to get up that high. So when you start this, you'll see that there's this nice thread here, or pipe, at the end, which is going to go directly in the awning assembly, and it's going to slide straight through. So bringing you up closer here before I get too far, this is where it starts. So again, you just push it straight through the assembly itself, and you just pull it, and when you pull, it pulls it through, and your objective is to get it from one end to the other. Okay, so when you get it pulled all the way through, you'll see you're going to have some space, most likely to the left and the right. So you can just pull it a little bit to get it centered on each side. And then that's really it for the install per se. There's this really nice zipper that goes right here. And so when you are taking this down and want to roll your awnings in, you just unzip this part and it'll unzip the whole thing. And then this top part here stays the whole time, and that'll roll in with your awning fabric. So then once you're ready to put this out, you just zip it back on, and then we'll secure this to the ground. On the front one, this one's going to be a little bit different because you can see that our campsite is set up with this really nice patio here, but we're probably not going to be able to use this one at this particular campsite, which is okay. It's always good to have both options for stakes. So the yellow ones are what comes with it, and then this is another option that you can use. These are really great when you're in a sandy area, but where we're at in North Georgia, this is actually a pretty rocky bedrock. So these won't even screw into the ground, and you can see we have the stakes about halfway in. So sometimes with your sites, you just have to make the best out of them, which is totally okay, but you can see that the shade is doing its job here. It's a little bit windy, which is good, so you can see where it blows, and then ultimately you can see how much additional shade that's providing inside of this little area, which is really nice because then you can turn this into like a little, you know, it's kind of your living room sort of area, but you can be protected a little bit more once that sun starts to set wherever you're located. Thank you so much for your support and for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to put together, and there's going to be more where this came from, so definitely stay tuned. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that now. But for those who want to enter this giveaway, again, one person's going to win one of every single thing in this video. Go ahead and head to the description. There's a link in the description, and you can follow that, and that's going to show you where to go to enter. You're just going to fill out some basic information, and then we're going to collect all of that and contact the winner on October 31st, 2022. So we wish you the best of luck. Again, thank you to all the brands that participated in this. It would not have been possible without them, and we really hope you enjoyed it.